north of it, where the cul-de-sac is, that comes down off of 4800 South. It's the same width as these properties are. It's developed as an R18. But when you really start looking at the ordinances themselves, beyond the lot size differences, the lot widths are exactly the same. The lot, the setbacks are exactly the same. So it's really going to develop as an R18, even if they do get it if you guys approve an R17, because there's very little difference between the two other than the 1,000 square feet of the property. The Planning Commission did hold a public hearing back in February.
Steve, you go back to that.
There's a
prior.
road.
Yep.
Could you show access where that
Yeah.
would go in at?
I don't have a pointer, but there's two of them. One to the north, just off of 3975, about where that 0 is. So on your left-hand side in the R17.
Oh, I see it.
And then there's a second
There's two
one
that-
about where the 1 is in the R110 on the right side, off of 3900.
I see him.
So there's two access points. They'll just go in and come out, probably cul-de-sacs at the top and the bottom. And that's really, but again, they don't have a subdivision application in just yet, but that's really all it's going to be able to subdivide as. So when the Planning Commission held their public hearing and their recommendation, they just kind of looked at it and says, really, there's no difference. It's going to develop more as an R18 than R17, but didn't feel the need to change their recommendation to R18, but staff would be fine with either one. I think it's a good request, just because it's not, if it was 20 acres, I'd say, okay, kind of look at it differently, but with it only being, what, 3, 4.5, it's surrounded by R18, R17, I think we need to have it in comparison with what's surrounding. So staff would recommend R17 along with what the Planning Commission had as already.
How many lots are they looking at developing? We don't know.
It's unknown because the subdivision hasn't been submitted.
Okay. Okay, this is a public hearing, public notice. Please, if you have a comment, if you don't mind, please step up to the microphone, give us your name and address, and give us your thoughts and comments about this proposal. Anybody? Okay, thank you. I'd like to take this out of public notice, public hearing, and then we can have a council discussion. You okay with that, council? Do I have a motion to go out of public hearing?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
that.
Thank you. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I didn't hear any opposed. Okay, council, questions, thoughts, comments before we take a vote?
I would just like to make a motion that we actually change the zoning to an R18.
I would second that motion.
I'm good with that.
That's great. Do we,
Any other comments,
roll call.
ideas?
Is that a motion or is it discussion?
Oh, just discussion. I'm
What
going to
are
go
we
for a
doing?
vote here.
Motion.
I'm going to,
Oh,
motion.
well,
Motion
I
and
would
vote.
like, you're right. I would
Said
like,
motion and-
yeah, I would like to kind of have that discussion,
Yeah.
that be my recommendation as how I
that was a
should have,
recommendation there.
should
Okay.
have worded it.
Okay,
No, I think that's a good way to go. I know you think there's no difference, but 1,000 square feet for me, it's always better for bigger size houses. You guys always know that. And
Yeah,
the R110 doesn't make sense in that location
No.
because it's
it's surrounded.
I think years ago we just changed everything to R110 just to accommodate that. But
okay.
R18 would be good and works for me.
Okay.
Okay, Andy, I need some clarification in terms of procedure.
Just make the motion, but instead of approving it as
R17, make the motion for R18, okay? So, having said that then, do I have a motion then to consider ordinance 19-1, approving amending to the zoning map from an R110 to a R18? And then at the approximate location of 3925 west, 4950 south. Do I have a motion?
Mayor, I'd like to make that motion that we approve amending the zoning map from approximately 3925 west, 4950 south, from an R110 to an R18.
Okay, do I have a second to that?
Joe did.
Second, okay. This is a roll call vote. Morgan?
Councilmember Saxton,
Aye.
Councilmember Yeoman,
Aye.
Councilmember Tafoya,
Aye.
Councilmember Burrell,
aye.
Councilmember Paul.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. Okay, then there's a resolution 19-6 approving and authorizing the execution of an interlocal agreement. Matt, you going to talk to that one?
We're gonna actually have Andy talk about it.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor and council members, what we have here is, it's just an interlocal agreement between Roy City and Weber County where we take care of election services. We pretty much do this on a regular basis. This time, though, it's gonna cover two different elections, the 2019, 2021. And it does the primary. Dave, I can't see you behind that.
We're good.
But it handles the primary and then the general elections. So, and it takes care of, it delineates a lot of different things. You're just getting it now. We weren't able to get it to you before because there was a change that I saw in the contract, and I had to talk to the county about it, and I just got that back yesterday, so we're just putting it in there for you. It only dealt with one paragraph that we needed to take out of the agreement altogether, so.
Okay.
And it basically specifies, you know, what we do and what they do. It's not very complicated at all.
Yeah.
Okay. Council, any comments on this interlocal agreement? Okay,
Motion to approve the interlocal agreement between Weber County and Roy City dealing with election division.
okay,
Second.
thank you. Got a second? This is a roll call vote. Morgan?
Councilmember Burrell?
Aye.
Councilmember Yeoman?
Aye.
Councilmember Paul?
Aye.
Councilmember Saxton?
Aye.
Councilmember Tafoya?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, now we have a presentation by the Blue Line Ladies. Is that going to happen? Perfect. Please step up and if you don't mind, introduce yourself and then help us to understand what you'd like to share.
Hi,
Thanks for joining us.
thanks for having us. We are the Blue Line Ladies, so we're a local nonprofit that started up 3 years ago. This is our third year. 3 years ago here in Weber County, and we all support police officers, whether it's because we're the wives of police officers or because we just like them or we work with the departments and stuff. And 3 years ago, we kind of had this idea that we wanted to do something a little bit more than what we currently were. That these men and women, they put their lives on the line every day, and we just want to help them. We want to do something. And so we started looking at what we could do, and we found that officers wear bulletproof vests, or so they're called, like underneath their uniforms. But the problem is that a lot of these vests, although they will stop like your normal grade handguns, they don't stop rifles, they don't stop shotguns, and they don't stop any kind of high caliber rounds. And as a wife of a police officer, I didn't like that very much. I didn't like the fact that I had to send my husband to work. Good luck, honey, like, don't get shot, please. And so we kind of came up with this idea to get something that they could have on them at all times that could provide against the rifle and the shotgun rounds and those higher level of protections. And so after a lot of research and a lot of work, we got these. We call them trauma plates, and they go right into the vest that these officers already wear. They weigh less than a pound. They're super, super light if you want to feel them.
I can pass one.
Yeah. They're super, super light. They don't, the officers say they hardly even notice they're there, and they just go right in front of the vitals and they protect against them. And so we've kind of just been working towards getting all of the officers that we can. And so this last week we were able to outfit every single officer in Roy with one of these plates.
Oh my gosh.
Our gift from us to you guys. So we just kind of wanted to let you know what we were doing, and
Well, thank you. I think that's perfect. Thank you. Thank you very
We
much.
appreciate that. Did you do like
Thank you
a
for the
fundraiser or something, how you were able to supply all of our police officers with
yes,
these?
every year we have 2 fundraisers.
Uh-huh.
We do a barbecue in May, so it's coming up. It's on May 18th
Okay.
at Lloyd Blake Park. And
At where again?
Lloyd Blake Park in West Point.
Okay.
And that's every year. We do that on the Saturday of Police Week. And then in August, this lovely lady does a bowling tournament for everybody
okay.
as well. And last year was our first year doing it, and it was really, really popular, and a lot of people like bowling. And that helps us raise the money that we need throughout the year to provide these. Next week we are giving these to Davis, and then we're also providing them with to Kaysville as well. So far we've already outfitted all of Weber County, and we have the supplies to outfit Morgan County as well. So we're kind of just slowly making our way.
You guys are making a great difference to our police officers. We really appreciate your efforts. I would like to clap.
Yeah, well done.
For everything you've done.
Well done.
Does Carl have, would you be able to give our police force some of these fundraising activities so that our officers or us as staff, city staff, would be able to support some of those events?
Yeah, last year I planned the bowling tournament during Roy Days, so that was my
Okay,
bad.
so did you move that?
I'm looking at moving it this year.
Okay, so you
yes.
know when Roy Days is?
No.
Okay, so Roy Days is the first weekend, so it goes like from July 29th to August 3rd is our Super Saturday.
Okay, we were
So-
planning on 3rd and 4th, so.
Okay, so yeah, 3rd is
Next
Super
week.
Saturday.
But we do the 4th at spare time, so that's the Roy one.
Okay.
Is that Sunday.
Okay, well, yeah,
Yeah,
think it
Sunday
could
the
still
4th,
work.
if that's what you do, that's.
That'd be
okay.
yeah, that
perfect.
will work.
I think that
Yeah,
would still
that'd be
work.
perfect.
And we'll bring flyers and handouts that we can put in the city office building.
Please.
And
Yeah.
the recreation over there too. So.
Yeah, that's
you.
excellent.
That was
Yeah.
We
perfect.
really just wanted to come and kind of tell you what we were doing,
I-
more so to just get that community communication between us and police officers. Like, this is what they need. This is kind of what we feel that they need, and when we talk to them, and just let people know that there is a need out there, so that they understand that
Yeah.
That's
we need all the
perfect.
help we can get.
Yeah.
Okay, it looks like that they would like a picture. So, Mandy, how do you want them to?
Probably should
Kevin, do you want to join?
get the chief and,
Oh, man, do you want? Okay, you're fine.
That's a thorn
good.
among the roses.
Perfect. Thank you.
And I would just like to tell them how much we really appreciate it. Having these trauma plates for the officers, being able to protect the most vital area with something that'll stop a rifle round makes a huge difference for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
And it's something that they can throw in, on any call. So
Yeah.
it's really appreciated.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Again,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thanks.
Great
Yeah,
words,
that's
Carl.
great.
thanks, ladies.
Any other comments, council?
No,
Okay.
it's great to hear about these organizations and that are out there in our community.
Absolutely. Oh, that's perfect. Thank you. Well, right now we have what's called the public comment period. This is an opportunity for you to step up if you'd like, just make any comments on any topics. Well, most topics are okay. Some could get really interesting. But you're welcome to do so. Just if you'd like to say something, step up to the mic and give us your name and address. Any public comments? Traffic going okay?
My name is Lance Haycock. I'm at 4490 South, 1650 West, over by
Perfect.
the airport.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Came for one subject, but I wanted a quick clarification on your discussion on this zoning thing.
Yes.
A couple of years ago, there was some zoning questions that were going on along 4300 South, and the council was trying to get something changed from a R7 to an R10 to drive larger homes down by the junior high there. Now I hear you going for something where you're driving a little bit larger homes here than what the people ask for. And then there was no public comment afterward. How does the process work? When they come in and request an R7, you guys determine an R8 after public comment's over. Again, I didn't hear any, hey, that was not my plan, but how does that process work? So you go back to the landowner now and say, we've approved this, but not what you asked for, come back future date for public comment?
Well, the request actually come in, and it's kind of interesting how it come into the document. The actual document said it was it was actually an R110, so it was a 10,000 square foot lot. They came in with the request to make it an R17,000, which typically means there'll be more homes,
Right.
or the possibility. The discussion came, at least in the explanation, that suggests is because of the way it's confined, there's probably no way it's going to change in terms of what really already is, which is an RE8 or RE7. Making it 7,000 because it has a little more length in the side versus an RE8. I mean, it just could be some very small variances, but the plat, and that's the hard part about this conversation, we don't know what the plat's even going to look like. It creates a little challenge of that, but we don't think configurally they can do too much more than what that's already there. So when they approached us and says we want to reduce that to an RE7, then yeah, you can stick probably some smaller homes maybe because it's a smaller lot, But the city council has a tendency to simply say, you know, sometimes we need a little bit bigger lots rather than the smaller lots. And so with that, then the council simply says, maybe because there's really not much else they can really do, it's probably in the best interest to the city to leave it at the larger one. He could have left it as an RE10. He could have put 10,000 square foot lots in there, or she, depending on who owns it. But in this case, it was probably better suited that maybe we just keep it at the higher level, and maybe that will allow it to be much more blended into that particular community than basically go to lower number. And the council.
It looked like there were some on each side that were, you know,
One's
RE7
RE.
on one side, RE.
Yeah, just to kind of blend it in a little bit. Definitely RE10 was not a good fit by nature of what it was zoned for that particular area. And that's not uncommon because maybe the council in the past really didn't need to have any changes. It was never considered to be improved. There was no proposal to do so. So they literally changed everything around it and left this RE10 sitting right in the middle. So they come in with a proposal. The council would consider that. We oftentimes listen, and I do, and I'm sure the council members do, would read the comments coming from the public. I think there was one comment. That was all. It didn't seem like it was really a complaint coming from the public, and the Planning Commission usually takes most of those public inputs. And so we listened to them. Didn't appear to be a lot of complaints there either. And so the council just simply says, you know what, maybe we can basically, it'll work for an RE8 versus an RE7.
So if they don't agree with that, they can come back to another council with a further request.
Anytime they want to come in, as it sits right now, because the council has the final authority, it will be zoned as an RE8, but the individual could come back and simply says, I really want to try this again, here's my plan to an RE7, and we take it up again. That's correct.
Because in a quick math view of the plat, if you take the existing ones that back up to those areas, you're probably looking at 2 more lots.
Could be.
Which, you know,
Yeah.
in these
In
timeframes.
reality, lot size are gonna stay the same. The only thing that's different is the house size.
Right,
Yeah.
but the value of the lot, I mean, you could sell 2 more at $60,000-$80,000.
It depends on how the,
I mean,
yeah.
It could have a difference for the.
Yeah, our
You're
city
right.
planners say, no, that isn't possible.
What did you say?
Because of the access.
Yeah, it could, but the key would be is that typically in this case, they could put a little larger house. Let me see if I can make it from my perspective. I think we have opportunities, and the city needs to provide opportunities for a broad base of requirements. Some people are very content and says, I want to be on an RE8 lot. Some says, I'd like to be in a townhouse. Others say, you know, I'd rather like to have an RE20. I want a 20,000 square foot, half-acre property. Royce City really needs, in my opinion, to provide that variety to all. The challenge is that when it goes to an RE6 or an RE7, there's really not much you can do after they've already set that in motion and built the houses. It's not like you can subdivide that because it's already the lowest it can be. There are still some properties in Roy, particularly on 6,000, that are RE15. They're zoned RE15. That's a 15,000 foot, a third acre. And usually that satisfies the needs of those who say, I want to stay in Roy, but I want a little bigger property. So I think today we can still provide those who want 8,000, those who want 15,000, and to be honest with you, the development that's going in down on the lower part of 6,000 today is going to provide those individuals opportunities who want it just simply they don't want no basement, they just want a patio home by which they can live out the rest of their years. And surprisingly, the conversation I'm having with the millennials is they don't want anything except maybe a piece of grass about as big as those 2 tables, because give me a townhouse, I'm ready to have a townhouse. Nice thing about it is this city council is providing that kind of flexibility to everybody. And so Roy City can still today accommodate a lot of opportunities for people.
And I appreciate that. I'm just curious how they asked for one thing, the council approved something else, and then there
Yeah.
was no further open discussion. Just trying to get a feel for what the process is.
Yeah, typically what they'll do is, a lot of times the petitioner or the person will stand in front and they will sell their case. That's the public hearing. Let us hear what they say. I didn't see anybody come up and have any input on
Well,
that.
but
So
could they have after the change to the council?
they can still come up and change. It's an
They have to
RE8
go through
today,
it
it can
again.
go to an
But it would
RE7
take another
tomorrow.
public hearing.
Exactly.
That's right.
Okay. It just
Yeah.
seemed odd that the change was made without a public hearing to follow. Seemed odd to me that way. But if that's the process, they come back another day?
If they're not satisfied with the RE8, then the R18, then they can basically come in for to a R17. Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, I was just
Okay.
curious. The real question I had, and I've heard a lot of grapevine, haven't heard from the council, on these calming circles that
Oh,
we're
yes.
talking about. I understand there's a lot of commotion, a lot of concern about those.
More than you can imagine.
Yeah, no doubt. Had the chance to go down around the one on 5700 South a month or so ago.
Yes.
Curious why there's not yield signs on all four corners. It seems to me a public safety hazard. If you have the sign in the, and I call it a roundabout, I know that's not what you call it, but it appears to be, for all the world, a roundabout, why there's not a yield sign on all four corners.
And treat it much like you'd treat a roundabout, is that correct?
Why would you not? Because, and here's the why, if you have somebody coming through, they have a right-of-way, it appears, because there's no yield.
That's right.
But if you have somebody who's yielded to oncoming traffic one direction, and they get into the roundabout and there's somebody coming the other way, to them it's a roundabout, they've yielded to the left.
Yes.
And again, simple mind, if you get hit turning left in front of somebody who has a through, you're in the wrong. That's the law, right?
That's right.
But if you're in that roundabout, in theory, they yield to you because you're in the street. So I guess I'm looking for clarification on how those help. I've heard them called calming circles or Coleman circles or something, not roundabouts. But there appears to be some open-endedness there that,
Somewhat confusing.
yeah, absolutely,
Yes.
for those of us who assume that we know what roundabouts
Yes.
do and how they work.
Yes.
So I guess, and I heard that that's been a contentious issue. Also understand that Roy C. is looking at doing a bunch more.
Seven
Some of those
more.
concerns ought to be, 27 or 8?
Actually, I went back and looked at all of the ones again today because I've had the same conversation with numerous people. Right now, on the books and the transportation plan, there's 7 in the total in the city. But there's other roundabouts. And I think when the number was originally pushed, it was pushed looking at all roundabouts and calming circles, and there was some traffic signals being proposed. So to your question on calming circles, there are 7 total being considered.
And is there a plat map that shows
There
where
is.
those are going in?
Yes.
Where could I find it?
Have we posted the approved transportation plan on the, well, the city planner has access to that. We have had a public meeting in which case the transportation plan was approved. But to your question, it should be available to anybody who wants to see it. My recommendation
On
is,
the Roy site somewhere? Or?
well, that's a good question, Matt. I can't speak to where that would physically be
I
located.
don't think it is yet, but if we can email it to you, or we can put it on the website, or we will put it on the website.
Yeah.
So just for clarification
Too big to
too,
email. We can
that's
zip
just
it
a
from you.
recommendation for our traffic study. Those other 7 that they're kind of talking about and stuff are just for consideration at this time. So we're looking at the kind of how this is impacting and going to make more decisions later until we put more in.
Okay. Was there a traffic study done on the one that's in now?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think
Well,
there was.
we've had engineers look at this.
Yeah.
The question that surfaced, just to give you a little history, the question was, we have, and this is not the only place in the city, we've had a number of places in cities where there's complaints coming from the citizens of high-speed traveling in the front, and typically at the 25-mile-an-hour zones. In some of those cases, it would have been easy to put a speed bump in there, but our snowplows don't treat speed bumps very politely. Some places you can't put the dip in there because you got water flow issues with sewer drainage. So there's some challenges on a couple of what appears to be the obvious solutions. This was an attempt, very popular in Salt Lake City, popular in Utah County, been in play for 10 some odd years in Washington State. These calming circles ideas was an idea that simply says they're finding some success from that. So we kind of yielded to the experts to try something. 5700 was an opportunity to try something. We're still waiting, to decide what the next step's going to be on that, and I think that's where we're kind of at. But we wanted to see if, in fact, there was an opportunity to help solve some of the problem we're experiencing at that location. That was really the experiment.
Has it made a difference? Has there been-
We still, and that's a great question, because I will suggest to you the conversation I've had with at least over 100 people who have found this to be a very popular topic with me, basically suggested it's not. And if I can be as blunt as I possibly can, I'm not so sure I've ever seen any more people more emotionally upset on any topic or any subject in Roy City as they are on this one. And surprisingly, many of the people who are basically complaining to me don't live anywhere near this location. Some do, but not a lot of them. And so this is a very public and very emotional issue that's unfolding here. And I think to the extent that we have to find some solution here, how can I put it maybe politely? This is creating anger in the city that should not be anger.
I understand, and I've heard of that. I don't live down that way, but I did drive down there to see what it was all about. And to me, the thing that was missing, the biggest thing that's missing, other than it looks like a big potted plant circle,
was the yield
middle,
issues.
is the yield signs, because it creates consternation in my mind.
Right.
Do I have a through right, or do I have a roundabout right?
Correct.
And
it's not clear.
That really needs to be addressed, because that is a safety hazard.
Yeah,
And
and
we
that's a good
appreciate
point.
that comment. I mean, that's exactly what we're kind of looking for.
I've
is
been down
some-
to look at it too,
Yeah.
and I would question that as well.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
city did entertain yield signs down there, but we were relying on our engineers, and he suggested that we do not put them in because the other streets weren't through streets and the traffic volume down there. So we're
Again,
relying
you have
on
the
them.
consternation then of a traffic circle mentality without the traffic circle rules, which to me creates a hazard.
Who does have the
Yeah.
right of way?
Yeah, it does have a hazard to it. And
Yeah.
if you're driving around, I was in a F-250 and I had a hard time staying out of the pedestrian crossing lanes going around that circle, which is another hazard to me. If you create something that you have to go around, do you change the trajectory of the crosswalks to keep the pedestrians safe?
Well, and to be honest with you, as I stated, it's a sensitive subject, okay? And it's a subject that I think, in all fairness to this conversation, council, maybe the council needs to step up and take it on. That this conversation we've had recently was, let's take the time and do the analysis. Because at this moment, this has been a very emotional, okay, very difficult conversation with a lot of people on this. And my argument, since this has gone through this, has been, let the data speak whether or not there's value in this or not value in this. We have not got to the proving whether or not it works or not. But the conversation, council, maybe has to be is this. Is it worth all of the frustration, okay, in terms of what we're experiencing? Let me just be very personal about this. I've had good friends of mine I've known for at least 20 to 25 years personally who have been swearing at me, okay, as mayor for allowing this to happen. Now, you know, I recognize the fact is the position is an elected position. I'm going to hear their voice and do my best to understand it. But this has got past, in my opinion, to whether or not there's a safety potential opportunity here where, in fact, we're dividing communities. And my frustration with this council is this really the purpose of this particular singular device sitting in the middle of a street was to create this kind of toxic environment? The answer to the question has to be answered, because you can say it's going to work, it's going to slow people down, and create a toxic environment within our community. The suggestion is we have an opportunity to put 7 more of those in the city. The answer has to be answered, and council, this is our quest. It's ours to solve.
Yeah, I didn't want to commit to doing any others in the city until we had actually got a little bit more data involved and stuff before we actually look at others. I mean, there might be some out of those 7. It might be to where some the length, you know, width of the street or the way the sidewalks and everything, it all laid out. They might work. But I don't feel that we want to continue doing anymore until we really look at it and focus. But you're bringing up your opinion and your idea and your what you had observed when you were down there is vital to help us to be able to make those decisions. So we appreciate
I would
that.
just recommend that you not wait till somebody gets hurt because it's there.
Well, and that's what's hard is, I mean, we were
At least
trying,
make it safe for
yeah,
the
we were
man.
trying to do that to make sure speeding, because, you know,
Right,
speeding is somebody where, you know,
Well, I understand the
we don't
speeding
want
on a-
somebody,
on a
yeah, to get
residential
hurt
street.
there. So
But
then
if
we
you've
go
got
one
other
way and,
concerns,
right.
I think it's worth your
That's the question
investment
I
in
would
yield
ask you.
signs.
If not this, then what?
Oh.
Right,
If-
right, because we have to stop,
For 5 years,
right.
I've lived on that road and heard people talk about speed, and we finally do something, and now it opens up Pandora's box. So if not this, then what?
There, you know,
The professionals, the engineers that we rely on have told us that's the solution. So are we gonna go against them and do something else? I'm okay with something, as long as we continue our quest to fix the speeding problem on that street.
And I
Right,
agree, the speeding's a concern. I think yield signs are worth the investment so somebody doesn't get hurt, at
Okay.
least till you figure it out.
Well, and I appreciate the input. And Matt, maybe the takeaway on this ought to be, ask the hard question with the engineers. Is there in fact a better solution in terms of how it's configured until we can prove whether or not this is going to work or not?
Yeah, we'll have that
But I think he brings a good point. We're creating a mentality within our community that says roundabouts are good. They are helpful. But the fact of the matter is, this is not a traditional roundabout.
Right.
And if they're treating it as a traditional roundabout, are we creating, as you're suggesting, a hazard by nature of its design as it's configured today?
Well, the sign in the middle suggests that it is.
It's a roundabout.
And so, that's my concern.
Okay,
Great
perfect,
point,
thank you.
okay? Matt, can we take an action item then with some more information and then,
I mean, we've had our engineer come out and talk to us about it and kind of show us, you know, the benefits of it and stuff. So I think we can really look at the engineer, have another conversation with the
Yeah.
engineer.
Yeah, we
But-
can always have another conversation, because he would have more valuable input as to
Yeah,
why.
but counsel, here's the reason for the comment. I'm telling you, this is toxic. As good as it was, this council stepped up and the city stepped up and made commitment. We've had complaints on that road and other roads for years. This council stepped up and says we're going to do something today, and we did it. And I don't regret doing it. But I will tell you, the challenge we have to face is that if this thing says it's workable, then says, okay, are you ready to take this kind of an environment back out to 7 other locations within the city? And I'm telling you right now, I've taken over 100 hits on this, and not one time of those 100 hits that I've taken, basically anybody say anything good about it. And when they start to get more personal, and then I hear stories about anger that exists between community members, then I'm starting to ask the question, is this really what this thing's all about? Have we lost sight of its purpose? What's that?
You ought to have it in your front yard.
Well, and if it's, to be honest with you, I'm not sure, but I think one of the proposals is about put it in my front yard. And so I'm about to be a recipient of this opportunity as well.
But I like what Joe said, if not this, then what?
Then let's look at the what.
Have to.
There are other options, you guys, that are out there. But I want to go back to the comment that was made. The question was asked, does it work? And I saw the chief nodding his head, yes, it does. So chief, could you explain on that? What do you notice?
Our officers that do traffic enforcement have noticed the speeds have dropped there. And we've had no accidents. It is handled just as a traffic circle is. If you're within the circle, you have the right of way. You can't enter the circle, so it's identical. And
So,
people should know the law.
I understand.
We can always, we do more. We put it in our bulletin. We've explained it. It's.
The gentleman was correct when he said, yes, there should be yield signs. That's just a good, proper thing to do for traffic safety concerns. But whatever traffic device we have there, we have proof from our own police department that it does work and is doing what it's supposed to do.
And we do know that this type of a traffic control reduces injury accidents by 94% and all accidents by 73%. That's what that function is. And by slowing down traffic, maybe we're saving a kid from getting killed.
Oh, I agree. But I'm just saying is that I'm looking for, Carl, and you bring up a good point.
Joe,
It's not working.
Brian, Mayor.
I will add that a lot of people that say it's not working don't live right by it. 5, 6, 10 houses up, they're not slowing down. They're slowing down when they get in front of my house. Or I had a long conversation the other day with the guy that lives at the kitty corner across from me. He says he can sit on his front porch and watch the brake lights as people are coming to it. So they're slowing down at the traffic calming circle, not a half a block up the road. So people up the road that say they're not working. Unless they're sitting there watching brake lights, they would not know whether it's working or not.
Well, then
And
here's the
my
point.
consternation
The
is
four-way stop,
most
which
of the
is what
people
they
that are
asked for,
against it
wouldn't work any
don't
better.
live in the exact vicinity of
Well,
that.
Well, then let me offer the question, and I asked this from the very get-go. Then let's get past the emotion, because there's way too much emotion on this issue. And I'm trying to defend something with no facts. Intuitively, I think we've got some solid information. But I've got to have the facts if you're going to defend it, because somebody's going to take a hit on this, and unless you're getting those phone calls, and I doubt 3 of you are, I'm getting them regularly.
I know, 'cause you're.
And my
you're
concern
down
would be
there.
is I can't answer this question in large part because I have no facts to defend it. Matt?
Well, we've all said as soon as
I-
the weather breaks,
Okay.
Right,
do
when
a
it
study
gets,
on it, that's where we're at.
I think we need to
Okay.
do
Said
it.
we haven't had any accidents, so that would be one
Yeah,
fact.
and I agree, but here's the other piece to the conversation that they're coming to me, and it's a good conversation. They says, okay, Mayor, let me just tell you one of the facts. They simply says when they spot a police car sitting at the church parking lot, they slow down because of the police car, and they're not slowing down because of the calming circle. Well, okay, then we hide the cars maybe a different location. You know, I'm getting all these excuses of why they're saying is you're seeing some results. And I'm saying is, but I need the tickers in the road to tell me whether or not we're seeing it both during the day and the night, when in fact police officers are there or not there. My concern right now is I don't have the facts to support the allegations.
Okay.
But here's what I do have. I got a significant amount of emotion that's toxic in the city. Let me make that clear. I'm talking toxic.
Okay, now when you say toxic in the city, Mayor, I think it's more your neighborhood.
Yeah,
The
you-
rest
No,
of the city
it's,
isn't that way.
no, no, no.
Yeah, me and Jam just talked, we haven't had one phone call on this. Not
and-
one, not one.
So
You know
I
what?
think,
I've had people come to my work, and
Well,
I
my
don't
point
live
is,
down
we
there.
haven't
Yeah.
heard it, so I'm not saying the whole city.
I'm
being
wondering-
toxic isn't the proper
so
statement.
let's talk about the facts that we're looking at. Are we looking at facts as far as like, do we want to know the number, like speed?
Speed.
Yeah, so can we maybe not ticket, but look at over a period of time, what's the average speed that people are traveling?
Correct.
Are we going to look at maybe how they're going around the circle? Because it sounds like the possibility you might be going up on the sidewalk. So are cars able to go around it, fairly easy? I mean, I was just kind of
Well, I think
wondering
number of
what.
accidents would be a huge one, though.
I mean, it's only been
Would it
in,
not?
and it's been during winter time,
said
so I
there's
don't know
not.
if we need to have it go.
Correct.
I'm just wondering what facts, so that we can start figuring out what facts we want to be able to make this point.
When I talked to the engineers about this, they made it,
$600,000 fire truck had made a proper left-hand turn, didn't touch the yellow lines or any of the curbs, and didn't have a problem. That fire truck's as long as a school bus or as long as anything that's
Okay.
gonna go down there. That's one of the valid concerns. There's other ways in and out of that neighborhood. I went and looked at one the other day that's up in Layton, and there's a cement tapered apron around it to where a big truck could drive up over the apron, but a car has to miss it. Maybe changing it, putting in yield signs, changing the design of it. Like I said, if
Maybe
not
one
that, then
bigger
what?
than small.
Okay,
What about,
No, I agree.
what about just a four-way stop?
that's.
that was what was
actually-
originally approved.
Yeah, that was actually
Well,
kind
I
of
mean-
requested. It was our engineer that
So they
actually
said
came
that
to
that
us.
doesn't, that creates more of a traffic
Because-
impediment.
Because you speed up, hurry and stop, and then you speed up right after the
Well,
stop,
that's the same
so.
thing that happens now. It's not a problem with the stop. The issue with the stop is people have to stop and it backs up traffic. The reason the calming circle, any circle, was so there's a continuous flow of
That's
traffic.
true.
That's where your engineer's gonna come through and say, what is your goal? Do you want a continuous flow of traffic, or do you want people to be stopped and backed up?
I don't know a lot about engineering, okay? And I'll
That's why you
admit
have to
that.
count on me.
But I worked for the paper for 30 years, and I watched a reporter do a story on that calming circle, and they could not get anybody to speak on the record. Yeah, they'd speak anonymously, but because of the friction it is created between neighbors. I had a gentleman
So
come
sad.
into the restaurant where I work a week ago and said, I'm moving because I'm not getting heard and I'm moving. And I thought, that is a sad state of affairs. And so if there is something else we can do to mitigate this, we should look at that and we should talk to the engineer, because we never did have that public discussion until the circle was in, right?
Yes,
Unless
that's
I
correct.
missed it.
No, there was no
No,
public
and
input. There's no public input.
We didn't need to.
Here's the piece of the conversation I think we just need to finish with, my opinion. We just heard a few seconds ago that the engineer suggested is not to put yield signs at that location, keep the stop signs. I don't understand that in evidence of the conversation we just had, which suggests maybe four-way yields is the better solution, and it should be treated as a typical roundabout, because we are treating it as a roundabout. And if that's the case, we need to understand why there's a reluctance on an engineering level of why there was, in fact, they're not willing to entertain taking out those two stop signs. But part two, make it very clear. Calming circles were never designed, okay, to be stops. They were simply designed to slow traffic down. If it's doing its purpose, then the only measurement this city should be looking at, its purpose is, are we slowing traffic down on 5700? The data to support that has got to be some tickers in the road, I don't care what they are, that basically tracks that speed on vehicles travel, and do that for 30 days, do that for 45 days. Is it slowing it down from the records we were having in the past up to 40 miles an hour on a 25-mile zone? Is it slowing it down, and we can prove it? If we can prove it, council, now you can go to the general public and you can defend why it should be there. Then if the decision is we need to take it out in large part or modify it because it's such toxic, then we have an argument to address the toxicity of it. But today, with no facts, no evidence to support that is making a difference, I'm suggesting to you is it's creating a lot of heartburn in our city. Yes, it happens to be on the southwest corner of our city, but it is still our city. And I'm just saying is, Matt, get us some data so the council can make a decision. But we got to do something. This is not getting any better. I thought time would heal this wound. I am telling you, it's becoming more toxic. And I'm getting tired, personally, of spending a lot of my time and energy talking email addresses, home phone calls, call at the offices, me trying to explain something I cannot defend today. I cannot defend it because I have no data to support it. Only intuitive information that suggests is it should be making a difference. Give me the hard data, let us defend it. If not, council, then I want you to give a serious conversation about, is it worth the problems it's causing in the city? And if it isn't worth it, pull it out and let's put four-way signs in or something else that's going to work better. I'm open to any
I
suggestions.
got a suggestion, Mayor. Just have a neighborhood meeting down in that neighborhood, okay? We will give options.
No, that's
It's
an
simple.
idea too.
You have your
Agree.
roundabout, or your calming circle.
Well, let's,
Come out, oh, you can make it a full-size roundabout,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we're gonna take away property from those four corners, if, you know, we can do that. Or stop signs, even talk to Ross, you know, I am the liaison, he's like, Dave, I'm willing to look at, speed bumps, not your little humps, but your big ones.
The big ones, yeah.
But again, that comes with the cost. We bring these options down to the neighborhood, lay them out online, what do you guys think would work
like
best
it.
in the neighborhood?
I like, and I think also getting that, the traffic study as far as the speeds, I think that's something to go into that meeting with too. So if we can get that in place
I agree.
prior
Yeah,
to go and
we
have
give
that
the
meeting.
neighborhood options, because it is a neighborhood issue.
Agreed.
57's down there on that
I
west
would
side
add
of it.
one other thing about calming circles. The engineers said it, the studies say it, that one does not work, you have to have them in series. So at some point, we have to make the decision, okay, if it is working, we have other parts of that street. Do we put in more, or do we do something different? I don't care what we do, I'm just gonna ask the question, if not that, then what?
Well,
Okay.
and Joe, and that's something to bring into that, to
Well,
the
bring it into
neighborhood.
conversation.
Hey, this is gonna happen in a couple
Yeah.
of different intersections, what's
What's the right solution?
Yeah.
Agreed.
So
So we do have plans to do another study.
Okay,
They were
perfect.
talking about April, I believe, off the top
Okay.
of my head. So they wanted to go back out there, and it's actually the engineer that hires somebody to go out there. There's not tickers, the tickers that you see in the streets actually just counting vehicles, it's not measuring speed.
Okay.
They actually have to go down in there and radar it, and they do more of a statistical analysis on that, to come up with the average speeds in
Okay.
that area. So there's plans to do that. That's part of the evaluation process, and I appreciate you coming out to council, because that's part of the evaluation process too. We like the public input, we want to hear what's going on. And I think Councilmember Tafoya that's a great idea, to go down in that
Do
neighborhood.
the study in April, you know, we are in budget session that time. Come May, have the neighborhood meetings, they explain how much everything would cost, and we can make a decision.
Here's
for
the options.
budget time.
I like it.
And in the
Okay.
meantime, gentleman's correct, we should put the yield signs.
Yeah, we could,
That's just-
yeah.
that's a quick,
We'll
easy, cheap
I'll
fix.
reevaluate that tomorrow with Ross,
Yeah.
and have him call the
Yeah,
traffic engineer.
we need to understand
To
why
understand
there's
why.
such a reluctance.
Yes.
Okay? Because that makes sense to me.
Okay.
It does. I mean, from a traffic perspective, should be required.
Should be required. Okay. Hey, good conversation.
We had one more.
Okay.
Do you want to entertain that?
Did you want to make one more comment?
Last thought, if you're gonna use a radar, use an unmarked car, so that you're not implying that the cops there running
Yeah.
speed.
The radar that
Have
will,
Somebody running radar that's not noticed as a cop. I'm
Okay.
just to take that variable out of it.
yeah, he will.
By the way, I
not
had that
police officer.
conversation with a number of residents indicating is that you're going to bias it when you do, and you're probably a good point. This is very complex challenge, and I was really kind of hoping there'd be tickers on the road that we could be cemented in, that we could have that measurement. But if you're saying it's got to be an
They
independent
just count
radar,
the vehicles going through there.
then it's going to create
Do
some
we want to
interesting
know the
challenges.
counting of the vehicles, or do we really want to know speed?
I need
So-
speed.
So if we need speed, then we need to do the radar.
It's the radar. If that's the only way you can make that connection?
Yep.
I would have thought between the ticks on on some type of a thing, they would be able to make that speed calculation, but maybe the radial size and would make it difficult. Okay. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
So I have a question, when they're doing that study, or where does it fit in? A lot of the cities are using those speed signs where it flashes and it tells you what your speed sign, and they're having very good success with those.
Yes.
Why is that not part of this? And when you ask, what are other ideas? I mean, I can't see a better way, and it was probably a less expensive way to have that.
That's a good point,
Those
and
have been used throughout the city.
to be honest with you, we've seen them out there, some flashing, some report the speed that you're traveling and put that right underneath the actual posted speed. So there's some options out there.
Yeah, that's been used, that was actually used down in
Riverdale.
my area too, and
Riverdale's
stuff. So we
using
have
it,
used
yeah.
those throughout the city.
Yeah, and I've heard good reports, it's less expensive, and I think most people try to be conscientious, but you do get going, and that could be something that, it's not throwing stuff in your face, so to speak, but just as a little reminder.
Yeah, good
Mayor-
point.
Mayor, we do need her name for the record.
Oh,
Yes, since we are still in public comment, could you just give us your name real quick and your address? Thank you.
Diane Wilson, 4302 South, 2674, 2675 West.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Any other more public comments? These are really helpful, by the way. Okay, seeing none, we'll go out of public comment. City manager report.
Mayor, council, I do have quite a bit of stuff, so bear with me. Kind of some follow-up from last city council meeting. We had a Bill Norstead come in and was talking about the potholes and the repairs on 4400 South. Just wanted to follow up. The following day, the Public Works Director and myself went out on that road and drove it. There is a lot of work that has been done, partially because there's a lot of repairs to the water lines. We're in this next coming up budget cycle, there's plans to replace those water lines, as well as secondary water needs to put some water lines in there as well, and that's what's holding up doing that project. So we don't really want to overlay it and then cut into it. So really funding has a lot more to do with that. We also had an India Bingham for 4800 South. You may have seen Chief Marino's email on that. He sent some police officers down on 4800 South for about a week. He only got one ticket out of that. So needless to say, I think that the traffic is fairly, yeah. So the roundabout on 4800 South is working. On April 10th, we are going to have, us along with Weaver County and FEMA, is going to have a kind of a mock EOC, Emergency Operation Center. If any of you want to be involved in that, we're going to have kind of drills and activate that EOC for our fire department. Each department head has different duties and part of that, so our city staff is going to be pretty heavily involved in it.
What day was that again?
It
Sorry.
is going to be on April 10th. It's a
April 10th.
Wednesday.
Okay.
It's going to be pretty much all day. If you're interested in that, contact the chief, the fire chief, Chief Como, and he can get you guys involved in that. So I know that some of you have already done so. This next week, Councilmember Paul, Councilmember Tafoya, and myself are going to be attending a National Leagues of City conference. So hopefully we get some good information on that. It's just a training, so we'll be out of the area, out of the office. On March 16th at 10 a.m., it's going to be a Saturday. Our complex is going to have the annual gold dig. And so this is basically an Easter egg hunt in the swimming pool. It's a lot of fun, ages 6 to 12. Anybody interested, I suggest that you go to that. It would be a lot of fun to just even watch. So
Yeah, no, it's fun.
another for educational purposes, on March 19th at 2:30, Weaver County will be hosting kind of a training event along with the Utah State Tax Commission to talk about the taxes, about the certified tax rate, and just go into a little bit of detail just for educational purposes. I'll be in attendance. I know our finance director, Camille, will be in attendance. So any of you guys, the offer has been extended to mayor and council. If you guys are interested in going to that, it should be pretty interesting.
I'll be there.
Cool. And then last of all, we have sent out the city budgets. So just the first part to send out the requests from the departments. They're going to be giving them back to the finance department within the next couple of weeks. So we're excited about that. And so just want to let you know we're getting going on that process. So that is it for me.
Perfect. Okay. Council, comments?
I got one question for Matt. Whatever happened with Union Pacific reconfiguring the intersection of 48 and the railroad track?
So we've had a couple of meetings with them. We were talking, the first meeting they said September. We were a little bit concerned of having it going with Roy Days in August. And so they've been talking about a September date. We spoke to them just 2 days ago.
Yeah, 2 days ago.
They're pretty far into the process, they said. But they're going to be checking with that and getting back with us on it. And I haven't seen anything yet. So hopefully September.
Of this year.
Of this year.
Yep. Yeah, it's going to happen this year.
Yes.
Because when we were going through it, it sounded like we were going to do it the fall of this past year, but it just never came to fruition.
I think anytime you deal with the railroad, they have a little bit of difficulties. That's what they were saying.
Yeah, there were two
Getting their
issues that they
permits and
were
stuff.
still waiting for them to respond to, and that's what's creating part of the problem. But you're right,
Yeah.
this year.
So if there is any holdup, it's most likely the railroad.
I do have some drawings, if you'd like to see the drawings that's being proposed.
I know September, I know it's their timetable, it's their property. If we could do it before school gets going, that would be great.
Sure be a lot better.
That's
yeah.
true, too.
Might hit them up with that.
Okay,
Just
we'll do it.
request.
Just not the week of Roy Days.
Just not the week of Roy Days.
Okay, when
That
they
would
say-
be a nightmare.
That's-
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had a
Matt?
comment?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
March 20th or March 27th or April 4th. We will be holding a town hall meeting at Municipal Park Elementary in revealing the new park concept.
So
And
we set that date then?
We have not officially set the date. They've
No.
been talking.
It's those 3 days though. Travis called me right before council.
Okay.
Okay.
And so it's those three, they're all Wednesday,
Ninth, okay.
but
One more time on those dates.
20th, 27th,
Okay.
or April 4th. It won't be all three,
Yeah, just one of those.
just one of them.
Okay.
Okay.
And we won't talk about calming
Oh,
service.
Okay,
you're so
sounds-
funny. Okay.
On the public safety mock, whatever it is,
Drill?
The drill.
have we thought about including Boys and Girls Club? They're very interested in what they're doing for public safety and how
Okay, I
they're.
can talk to the chief about that and see if they
So,
can
so
be,
if we can, kind of coordinate with them and let them know whenever we set a protocol, if they can be involved in that protocol, that would be helpful.
okay, that sounds good.
And it'd be, I think, Cash that you would speak with, is his
Okay.
name.
Good. Okay. Anybody else? Joe, do you have anything from Deep South? Okay. I just have a couple of things then. Did we get confirmation, Matt, on whether or not this year 5600 South is going to get a resurfacing?
This summer is what they said.
Just sometime this
Just-
summer?
Yeah, very vague, but there will be noise issues because they plan to do it at a night project, so.
Are they gonna roto-mill it or just pave over it?
No, I think they're going to do some grinding. We're
Yeah, a
hearing
little
that
bit.
they'll probably take up some sections, tops, and resurface. I don't think it's the whole thing, but I do believe, and I think, Steve, you were sharing some information with us, but they're going to take sections of that road out and grind the surface down.
Yeah. It's probably about 2200 west to 27, and then again 3500 west going west.
So it goes out of, say, for 35 all the way into Hooper, more than likely. So down below down there. Carleen, that might be in your areas down there. Okay. Any, just one last thing, if I don't mind. A beautification committee is really close to putting a plan out, a neighborhood cleanup plan. When do you think you might be ready to publish that?
Well, we're actually, making some changes and stuff to it, so
Yeah.
as soon as we,
Yeah, as soon as we
Get
get
that.
done with it, we'll go
Okay,
public with it.
the comment was made, and the reason why I'm asking, because it's sometimes better, maybe try to get into the April magazine. Do you think you'll have something by the April magazine?
I would like to say yes.
Okay, we'll
so
wait
we're-
and see.
Yeah, we're kind of working through the legalities of it.
Okay.
we want to make sure too that we're coming to the council before
Yes.
that.
Exactly.
So
Yep.
to get it on the agenda and stuff, so.
Yeah, that's the reason
So
for this question.
Hopefully next couple of months.
Okay, because when I got heard they want to try to get it into the April, I thought maybe you better get to the council before we put it on the, get it in the magazine.
yeah.
Okay? Okay, so we'll work that, Matt, and when you're ready, if it looks like we can get it in on the 19th, which is 2 weeks from now, let's put it on the council's discussion item. If not, then let's hold until May and we'll put it in the May magazine and try to work that in April. Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay. Hey, council, good meeting, good discussion, okay? Do I have a motion to adjourn this council meeting?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, seeing none, we're going to walk right into a, what's called a Roy City Redevelopment Board meeting agenda. And so you're welcome to stay if you'd like, and this one's going to go real quick.
This is
Okay.
short.
Morgan, are you signing?
Okay? They got to get a lot of signatures. Okay. Okay, board,
Anybody want to go help? That's
I'll
like
go
a
help.
lot.
you want to walk out there? Okay. I was going to say, we could take a second if you all would just want to step up here real quick and we'll sign them from here.
Yeah, why
Come
don't
on
you
up,
guys
guys.
that are there, come here?
Just, that way we won't put Morgan in a tight spot. Just
Yeah,
walk
that's a
up here and
lot
let's
for
get them
Morgan.
signed for you.
Jan, come out. Look at
We
that.
can take a few seconds here. Okay, let's jump into it. Just want to welcome you all to the the Redevelopment Agency's board meeting. We do have all of the board members here, except Joe Paul, and he is televised in, so we've got him on there. Okay, so we're excited. This is going to be a short meeting. You'll understand why here in just a few seconds. Just want to welcome everybody. Let me just see if I can get a vote on the approval of the September 18th, 2018 Redevelopment Agency minutes. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion, we approve the minutes from September 18th.
Okay, do I have a
2018?
second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, those are approved. The one topic, which is the loan guidelines for businesses, under the discussion item, we'd like to table that. That's going to have further conversations, maybe at a later date, so if, we're going to table that. Anything you want to discuss? If not, I need a motion to adjourn.
This probably is the time I should share. Marco's Pizza opens in March.
Oh, cool. I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, and
Where's that?
That's down by Kent's.
It's down by Kent.
Oh, I know where it is.
Went
Oh,
no
never mind, I know.
Fizz
Exactly.
area or whatever that was.
Opens in when?
Yeah, coffee shop
In
thing.
March.
Would you-
And they told us they'd like to do something.
Ribbon cutting?
Yes.
Hey, we can get a hold of the chamber. Chamber likes doing those kind of things, so,
And I think the Burger King is going to be opening also
Yeah,
at
they're
the
moving
end
along
of
with that.
March.
yeah.
So,
Okay, we'll try to find some more information about those, and we'll send you an email on that, okay?
Thank you.
but be ready.
Okay. Having said that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second? I heard 2 seconds. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. What a good discussion.
Okay, so the band, we actually have
Thanks, John. See ya.
to you, to be able to